What's up, y'all? It's your boy ARP. We back with the Sorry It's True podcast. I figure I sneak a little bit more of a full episode into the middle of the week. What was it? The last 2 days. Yesterday, we focused purely on a Diddy update stream, and then the day before that, pretty much was just all about Little Dirk, right? So I wanted to get back to a stream at least, another one before we get to the weekend, where we cover a little bit more topics, expand it a little bit, have some fun. You know how we do. So today we got Diddy Trial. Day 15 in court. We're going to do a recap of that. I want to check out a video with y'all for that. We're going to look at Cameron's recent interview. We're going to pull that clip up. Two witnesses pretty much took the stand yesterday, and we're going to go over what they add to the trial, what they add to the overall status, how we feel about that. We'll check that out. Kanye West versus Pusha T, or Pusha T versus Kanye West. However you want to say it. It's not an all-out beef or nothing like that, right? Kanye is always going to be Kanye these days. I mean, he doesn't shock us too much anymore at this point. I hope he doesn't. But to continue to watch the people that were or are around him and how they respond to his antics, I want to take a look at what's going on with Pusha T. And that clip song that dropped the other day, was it the trumpets thing or whatever? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That track is ridiculous. Shout out to the Clips, man. Looking forward to and Malice. Malice is back. When did Malice come back? That's dope to see. Zion versus Moriah. Some updates there. Some new video footage there. I already did a stream on it. It's such a disgusting scenario, and every time it continues to get worse, I'm gonna hone in on it. I want us to document that. It's one of the worst things I've seen this year, to be honest. Then we got a couple small things towards the end. We do got a shout out to give, some blessings to send out, some good energy, positive energy we got to send out to someone. And then I do have a question for the ladies, towards the end of the stream as well. Something that's just is nasty work, but all right. Y'all with me? Shout out to the members and shout out to the mods that's in the building bright and early. I know it's a little bit early for some of y'all, but we're going to work. You know how it go. Let's get into the Diddy trial recap, day 15. So let's cover real quick the smaller witness and the one that I think was a little bit less important from yesterday. This gentleman by the name of Ferguson kind of looks like a Ferguson in the picture for some reason. I don't know why. Y'all see the picture here when I scroll up? It looks like a Ferguson. Right. This guy was connected to a lot of finance and housekeeping, and he worked for Diddy, worked for Revolt, underneath the whole Bad Boy Enterprises. So we see that continued theme. They want to continue to call people that worked underneath him, try to find ways to connect all of this criminal enterprise RICO charge element, right? So I don't know how many more blockbusters we got for y'all, especially when we're going back and we're starting to cover back the dots that they're connecting. When you talk about the stuff that comes out of Kid Cudi testimony, Cassie's testimony, that's a lot of what happened yesterday. But this one was a little bit more on the financial side, I feel. But let's make sure that we're still on the same page. All right, Derek Ferguson, who worked for Sean Diddy Combs as his head of finance for his companies, testified today about how he helped Combs manage his finances, saying that at times he'd manage both Combs' business and personal transactions. Okay. Here's how Ferguson closed out the day. End of comms. Ferguson testified that he served as CFO of Bad Boy Entertainment from 1998 through 2012. That's a good period. That's a lot. That's 14 years, right? And continued working for Combs as the COO of Revolt TV thereafter. So is that all the way up until today? No. After leaving employment in 2017. Okay. So that's a total of, so what do you got? You got 14 plus 5. That's 19, almost 20 years this man worked underneath Diddy. He's probably seen a lot, done a lot. But was his testimony, did he say things that really went towards the criminal aspect, or did they just throw him up there trying to figure out, is there anything that we can grab from his testimony to see if we can tie into these criminal nature of the RICO charges? Y'all will determine that. Me, early on, honestly, from what I was saying yesterday, I said no. But let's continue. Ferguson said that he didn't speak with Combs often except for some odds and ends related to his departure and occasionally on holidays. The last communication the two had, Ferguson said, was in 2024 when Combs texted him asking to talk, but Ferguson did not respond. That is one thing that we're seeing a bunch coming out in 2024, and around the Cassie lawsuit time. Diddy was reaching out to people because he saw the potential of these charges coming his way. He probably was in the loop. His lawyers was probably telling him, warning of this, warning of that. This might happen. This might happen. And he started reaching out to people. And so Ferguson here, he's like, nah, I'm cool, man. I ain't picking up this call. I ain't returning this text message. But all right. But that was the last joint. Executive board, Ferguson testified that he was involved with Revolt, Combs media company focused on urban music from its launch, and that the professional investment firm held about 40% of the seats on Revolt's board. Any major actions would need their approval, Ferguson testified, adding, they had a say in a lot of different areas. According to Revolt 2016 organizational chart, which was shown to the jury during Ferguson's testimony, many executives' names were listed, but Combs was not. Okay. Business expenses. Ferguson confirmed there were employees in the finance department who went through the corporate credit card statements to determine which charges were valid business expenses and which were personal expenses. Ferguson said he and Combs did not do this personally. As I read some of this, what are we doing? Are we helping him make sure that he doesn't catch a tax fraud? A tax fraud charge, because this isn't a witness that the defense called, right? This is a witness that the prosecution called. Like, where does he help y'all? Keeping things above board. During cross-examination, Ferguson testified that the company's taxes were always done correctly and that he wouldn't let there be any financial impropriety on his watch. I would do everything I could to not let that happen, Ferguson said. Ferguson also testified that he never witnessed Combs commit any crimes, nor did he see anyone commit acts of violence or, as Combs' defense attorney phrased it, make the company stronger through threats of violence. This is all helping the defense. He just worked constantly. Ferguson testified that he observed Combs' work ethic, saying during cross-examination that he just worked constantly. Ferguson testified that Combs' passion for what he did was really high. So his work ethic and the number of hours that he put in was something that really pushed the entire team. Ferguson also said that he learned a lot from Combs while he worked for him and that he thought he had a great business mind. What do y'all take from that? So we're going to get into the more important witness that took the stand yesterday, which is the security guard that he allegedly paid $100,000 to for what he thought at the time was the only copy of the hotel footage with Cassie, right? We're going to get into that. But let's close this guy out, this Ferguson guy. What do we take from that? If the prosecution subpoenaed him or lined him up and they wanted his testimony, once again, he definitely didn't help the prosecution's or the government side for his testimony at all. Is everything that he's saying, are y'all taking it? Is it a loyalty thing? Is it, man, get me up out of here, I don't want to have nothing to do with nothing? Is he saving his own ass? Well, how could he be saving his own ass if there was anything unjust going on? Well, if his hands is on the transactions and the monies and he's there trying to justify if the business transactions versus the personal transactions and the taxes being done every day underneath this corporation are on the up and up, shit. Once again, we got things like tax fraud and tax evasion and improper filings. He can get his ass in trouble if he doesn't have immunity, right? If he gets called up there, says the wrong things, the next thing you know, it's like, oh, wait a minute, you helped move the money over here and this money was hidden or whatever. And I don't think that's really what they're going after for Diddy. You just never know. You just never know, though. People can get up there and incriminate themselves. But all in all, even though he ducked Diddy's calls in 2023 when shit started popping off, or 24, right? Even still, the man almost worked for 20 years for Diddy, right? That's a lot of opportunity. That's an all-out career. 20 years of your adult life, you were employed through this man. So if the man didn't beat on you, if he didn't overly, I'll say overly because you got to give it like a little extra, because we know that Diddy, his style is like shitty as a boss and as a leader, right? But if he didn't overly, make it a tough work environment for you, and you got paid for 20 years and you fed your family, had your bills paid and all that, I mean, you get up there and say, listen, man, I ain't see this man commit no, and especially if that's true. I didn't see him commit no acts of violence. I didn't see him break no laws. Everything was on the up and up with me. I don't know nothing else about nothing else. As far as the numbers, I kept them clean. Am I done? Is we finished or is we done? So good job, government, with that one. But let's get into now what the prosecution is spinning back to. Okay, what kicked everything off? That Cassie lawsuit goes in World War IV. All right. But back to the video. Now, when we get back to the video, I wonder if the jury is in there like this again. I'm waiting for new shit. I'm waiting for new evidence. I'm waiting to connect the dots of RICO. We're going back to this domestic violence situation. All right, let's talk about the payoff, but what's supposed to be more important than the payoff or somebody attempting to hide the footage? The actual shit that happens in the footage. And we're past that, no? Well, let's see. Let's watch this video update from CNN. And I want y'all to help me determine whether we feel like this is impactful, whether this was very relevant for them to spin the block and go back to this.
The day's big witness was a former security officer at the Intercontinental Hotel. He said Diddy paid him $100,000 to fork over what he thought was the one and only copy of a video of Cassie's assault. We also heard from someone inside Diddy's business empire, the former chief financial officer of Bad Boy Entertainment. Now, he claimed everything he did for the company was totally above board. And the jury saw a $20,000 wire transfer from Cassie's dad to Diddy, which was sent back days later. We heard that before, remember, from earlier testimony. The prosecution really wanted the jury to focus on this, that surveillance video, first obtained by CNN exclusively, showing Diddy beating Cassie Ventura in 2016, and specifically what Diddy allegedly did to make sure that it would never get out. That same day the assault happened, a former security officer for the Intercontinental Hotel, Eddie Garcia, testified the phone, well, it started ringing, and a lot. The calls were from Diddy's chief of staff, Christina Karam. Now, a reminder, she has not been charged in this case and has not been accused of any criminal wrongdoing. Garcia says at one point she put Diddy himself on the line. And Garcia recalled what Diddy told him. He stated that I sounded like a good guy, that I sounded like I wanted to help, and that something like this can ruin him. Garcia said Diddy sounded nervous and promised to take care of him. Garcia, he then went to his boss and told him Diddy was willing to pay. His boss suggested $50,000. Garcia then called Diddy back, testifying he was excited. He said, Eddie, my angel, I knew you could help. I knew you could do it. Garcia got the video on a thumb drive from his boss the next day, and then he gave it to Diddy in person. Garcia told the court that Diddy made him sign an NDA. And he said he even spoke with Cassie Ventura over FaceTime, saying, quote, she said that she had a movie coming out and that it wasn't a good time for this to come out. She wanted it to go away. Garcia claimed that Diddy then brought out a...
I didn't know that. I didn't hear that yet. That's new for me. Cassie co-signed the video disappearing and was still Team Diddy after the hotel. Well, we know that date-wise is when it took place versus even the times after that when they were still having a relationship and being intimate together, right? But wow. Yeah, she's all mentally just she was turned out in this whole shit. He created what he needed out of her. He took this young girl, he molded her into you're gonna do the freak offs, we're gonna do drugs together, we're gonna we're gonna pay people off together. All the way down to Cassie's best friend. Hey, Cassie, go give your best friend that $20,000-$30,000. Tell her to keep her mouth shut. I never heard this. Wow. So Cassie did a FaceTime with this guy as well. So yeah, as far as what took place in the hotel, that ugly scene and all that ugly footage that you got your hands on and all that. Yeah, I got a movie about to drop, man. I don't want that coming out. So the defense, I would assume, would paint the consent off of that one again. Once again, still disgusting situation. There's no way around that shit. But damn, if I'm the defense, I come out and I say, this is what we mean all the time by taking the good with the bad. You knew that he was an abusive boyfriend, but you had no problem taking that. And then a couple of days later, getting on FaceTime with some security guard and saying, yo, I got a movie coming out. The movie. Once again, the good with the bad. I'm going to push all of that to... I couldn't do that to Cassie and get away with it. I couldn't. She would leave. I don't got a movie and an album and a celebrity lifestyle and put you next to Rihanna and all that. I can't offer that to Cassie. I'm not justifying it, people. This isn't a justification. I'm just continuing to highlight the strongest element of the defense, the C word, consent. Taking the good with the bad. Why did you stay? Why do we have these videos of you celebrating at the birthday? Why you send these text messages, I love you, even though you said 2 years ago he argued you? You see what I'm saying? I didn't know that Cassie did a FaceTime. Wow. I got a movie coming out. Okay.
Brown paper bag full of cash and counted out 100 grand with a money counter.
Come on, brown paper bags is like 90s and shit. Brown, can you even still get your hand on a brown paper bag? How'd you get a brown paper bag?
Garcia said that he split that money with his boss and another security officer. Now, the next witness was former Bad Boy Entertainment CFO Derek Ferguson. Now, he testified that Diddy's personal and business finances would sometimes overlap, but he said he never saw anyone help Diddy commit crimes. The prosecution also showed a statement from Diddy's bank account for his New Jersey home. It shows the account transferring $20,000 to Cassie on December 14, 2011. On December 23rd, Cassie's dad wired $20,000 into the account. 4 days later, it was sent back. Now, that lines up with the testimony from Cassie Ventura's mother on the stand. Recall that she said that she sent Diddy $20,000 after Cassie told her Diddy was threatening to leak sex tapes. Let's begin with a reporter who broke the story of that now infamous Cassie surveillance footage. CNN's own Elizabeth Wagmeister. Elizabeth, so glad to have you here. The important
real quick, just imagine if that transaction right there, the one with Cassie's parents, the $20,000 in regards to threats of leaking their or her sex tapes. Imagine if that becomes one of their biggest focal points to proving extortion. It would sound so stupid in comparison to the big picture of why this man, we thought he would be sitting here as this big billionaire mogul under these RICO charges. But just imagine that. You into it with the family and Cassie real quick. Y'all got going on, whatever y'all got going on. Maybe she cheated on you because Cassie had a roster, y'all. She had to keep bringing up Michael B. Jordan. You had the trainer who's now your baby father right now. You had Kid Cudi. You had, like Cassie's doing, you know what I mean? Allegedly. But you get into it with them. Y'all got y'all toxic ass relationship, and then you threaten the family. $20,000 comes your way, and then somehow you later on send it back to them. But imagine that is the biggest piece of evidence that y'all have to prove out extortion. You know, once again, when we think about these RICO charges used in mafia boss takedowns and mafia trials and whatnot, it's like you extorted this store owner for 10 years. Siphoning off thousands of dollars from this guy's restaurant. Diddy's extortion charge, taking $20,000 from Cassie's mother because he was upset that she possibly cheated on him. Like, allegedly. Imagine, it's like, yo, your extortion it aligns with who we think Diddy is. It's like
importance of this video cannot be overstated. And to have you be the person who would get it was just unbelievable in the development of this case. But we've known about the 100 grand payout for quite some time. We had no idea how instrumental and individualized attention was given by Diddy.
This was brand new information. So as you said, we have heard that $100,000 figure before that came from the government's indictment, but they had no other details in the indictment other than he paid $100,000 to try to bribe someone to get this away. What we heard today shows the alleged great lengths and efforts that Diddy himself, as a world-renowned celebrity, took to make sure that this was buried. You heard Eddie Garcia say on the stand, Diddy himself told him, this can ruin me. This can ruin my career. That gives us a clear state of mind that Diddy was in. He knew that his behavior on that was egregious. He knew it could ruin him. As you said, he called him Eddie, my angel. Strange name to call someone that you've never met. Also strange for a celebrity to get on the phone with you himself. They usually have people do that for them. And he did. As you said, Christina Karam was on the phone, but she constantly brought Diddy.
It's not strange. The whole Eddie, my angel and all that. All he's doing is just hyping him up. You know, he's trying to personalize it to befriend this guy and try to establish some level of trust. Like, man, rock with me. And then him doing the guest appearance. It's no different than Cassie doing the FaceTime. They're using their gravity. They're using their celebrity. Yes, I think that there's a lot of things that you should have layers in between you. You send a henchman, you send a handler, you send a representative, you send a manager. Absolutely. There's a lot of scenarios to do that. But if you get into the level of that video right there, could get me up out of here, which once again, it did. That video could ruin me. It did. That video could change everything, flip my world upside down. It did. Right? No, you come down off of your pedestal and you interact with that person. You know, don't let this person just feel like the handler that pulled up in the old blacked out Escalade, dropped off the brown paper bag for 100 and said, here you go. And then you just mysteriously like, all right, thank you. Guess that's closed out. You personalize it because it's that important to you. It's that detrimental to you. So it's not strange that he did that at all. It was tactical.
Diddy on there. Just really an incredible picture of what Eddie Garcia testified happened, that he is brought by Diddy up to this hotel room, given a brown bag full of $100,000 cash.
A man who makes $10.50 an hour at the time.
Exactly. And then that Diddy comes out with a money counting machine, which Eddie Garcia testified, he told the jury, it seems like he's done this before. And then Diddy himself takes Eddie Garcia down the elevator and basically, you know, bids him farewell. He pays for his valet.
At least Diddy was smart enough to not go. I mean, it still comes out in front of the government and the world anyway, right? You know, but at least if this never, you try to hide stuff like this, at least the brown paper bag instead of a Cash App or a PayPal or a wire transfer, right? Because I'm pretty sure you don't want this $100,000 to come across Ferguson, somebody for 20 years that's eyeballing your shit. Say, hey, what's this $20,000 to Cassie's father over here? Nah, you don't want this $100,000 coming out either to some hotel. Like, hotel, I see these business transactions, the hotel rooms, normally the suites at that, like the big rooms that you do, they normally don't go past, I don't know, 14, 15 grand a night. And that's the super duper Vegas penthouse joints. Like, the shit's from fucking Hangover. Like, that was like 14 grand a night. What is this $100,000 connect hotel security? What is that? Ferguson's pencil pushing ass would have fucking highlighted that. That nigga Diddy pulled up with the cash and said, no, sir. And so he hiding shit from his own team. That nigga knew what was up, man.
The hotel, and he asks him, what are you going to do with this money? And tells him, don't spend it all at once, meaning it could get suspicious. So really, again, brand new information and showing the great lengths that Diddy allegedly went to make sure that this never came out.
Yo, Diddy is crazy. I ain't gonna lie. Yo, Diddy gave him $100,000 and said, don't spend it all too fast or in one place. It'll raise suspicion. It sounds like how you move after a bank robbery. Like, it's like, we just hit a lick with the fucking cash truck. Oh shit, for $500,000. And then you come out all of a sudden, you buy cars. Like, you see those little, let's go movie reference for y'all. Y'all know how I do. You got one of those in Goodfellas, right? Like, pulling up to the spot. Dude pulled up to the spot. His wife had a mink coat on. Right? De Niro's like, what is this? Like, take this jacket off. Like, get this. You got a new car that you pull up outside. Get that fucking car out of here. The feds is watching us. There was just a bank heist that went down. Y'all pulling up a brand new cars and mink jackets and all that shit. We can stay on mink jackets as well. Look at Frank Lucas, right? From the depiction that Denzel played in American Gangster. His world flipped upside down when he went courtside with that fucking jacket, right? As was Shorty gave him, came home and burned it. Like, fuck. Yeah, man, you can't show that shit. What another one? I'll give you one more. The town, right? After they pulled off their heist, they was washing their money through casinos and trying to keep a low profile. You know, you don't go from, you know, being a brokey to all of a sudden pulling up, you know, with a new Maybach. Like, that's a little obvious, right? It's like, what happened there? You know, it's not even just authorities, right? You put just general people onto you, right? Shit, some of y'all be trying to duck and dodge your fucking families and your brothers and your sisters just from getting a tax return, let alone a quick $100,000. So, that nigga said, don't spend it too fast. You'll raise suspicion. Yo, it is not a bank robbery, Diddy. Nigga said he must have did this before. He pulled out the money counter for him. Oh, man.
So how did the defense then try to follow that? Because that is some pretty compelling testimony to talk about the prosecution's case, that he was allegedly aware, that he didn't want this to see the light of day, which means potentially law enforcement would never see it.
That's right. And cross-examination was very brief, Laura. As you said, there's a ton of testimony to get into, seemingly damning testimony, if these allegations that Eddie Garcia testified are all true. But all that the defense did is they pulled up this non-disclosure agreement, which Eddie Garcia told the jury that Diddy handed him, as he also handed him that bag of $100,000. And the defense, they showed a paragraph that says, in this NDA, it doesn't say that you can't testify about this one day. So basically trying to show they're not prohibiting him from participating in a trial like this, but that's really not the point. The takeaway with showing this NDA is it was on company letterhead. The top of that NDA said Combs Enterprises. And there was also—
Oh, there's two there. There's two takeaways I got there. The first one is it's saying that he didn't put you can't testify against me in the NDA. Now the question becomes, obviously, would that have helped Diddy in this scenario right here where this guy actually takes the stand? I don't know about that. Part of me scratches my head and says, I give you an NDA, chat. I say, whatever we discuss on this podcast, you can't take the stand against me. But yeah, he did, say that Kanye West is a piece of shit 20 times, or 2,000 times on this pod. You can't, because you signed it. But we're talking about the feds coming and subpoenaing you. Does my NDA stand? Because part of me feels like the feds supersede my NDA. You still take that stand, you testify, and then the only thing I can do is have a civil suit against you. Like that you broke our NDA agreement. Who believes that NDAs will hold up against the feds? I just don't believe that. Let me Google it real quick. I don't believe that at all. Can an NDA prevent federal testimony? I don't know. It says no. A non-disclosure agreement, NDA, cannot prevent someone from testifying in a federal case, especially if they are compelled to do so by a subpoena or other legal order. NDAs are generally meant to protect confidential information, but they don't supersede legal obligations to provide testimony in court. There we go. We nailed it. All right. So that was the first takeaway that I had right there. Whether it had you can't testify in it or not, it wouldn't have mattered. Okay. Number two, seems small, seems simplistic. We're looking for the big fireworks, but what the prosecution keeps giving us is smaller little joints, right? And that was one. The letterhead to the NDA, had Bad Boy Enterprises on it or had his company name on it. Right. So if this is extortion, well, it's not extortion, right? This guy's accepting this payoff. But whatever legal ramifications you could paint around that assault that took place in that hotel and then paying off even the type of footage, is it within your rights to have this type of footage in your possession? Right. Because does it stunt legal process? You know what I'm saying? Like evidence tampering or whatever. Right. Any legal ramifications around that? At the end of the day, when you gave him that $100,000, the paperwork that you signed it on was under the company name. And the RICO is directly tied to criminal enterprise, which involves the company layer, which is another reason why they want to subpoena and get all these people that worked for him underneath the enterprise on that fucking stand to testify. So it seems small. It seems like I wanted something stronger from the prosecution, but they're still showing him using the enterprise and the companies for what seems to be even covering up of criminal behavior and charges, that assault, for example, right? So see what y'all did there. Good call out.
Also a clause in there that told him if he breached the contract, he would have to pay the company, not Combs, the company, $1 million.
These so-called liquidated damages. That was one of two contracts that was essentially important here. He was also testifying under immunity.
That's right. And, that shows that Eddie Garcia, at least, was nervous
Yeah.
because he knows that he was involved with covering something egregious up.
Let's talk about this with the lawyers. I really am curious to see what they have to say. Come with me, Elizabeth Magmeister, because I've got a phenomenal panel of people with me here tonight. I've got, of course, CNN legal analyst and criminal defense attorney, Joey.
Shout out to our member, KX. KX asked, the question is, did he use company money? That's a good question. Here's the thing, though. How do you prove, if you're Diddy, how do you prove that 100 grand wasn't tied to anything that was generated from a business? Because to prove that it wasn't tied to anything related to Revolt or Bad Boy or anything, right? That's why the RICO is there to cover the whole landscape, right? How do you prove that? Or you would have to show like that particular 100 grand was a donation, right? It was given to me as a Christmas gift from Cassie, right? You would have to separate it somehow. And good luck doing that. Even Ferguson probably can't do that. Like good luck doing that. But I see where you're on for that. Say, how do you prove that it was the company's money? But if I'm now that was my side for Diddy, right? I think that's a tough thing to prove. If I'm on the prosecution side, even if you made me fight that question, you know what I would do? I would say, I don't care whether you want me as a prosecution and the government side to show that, oh, was that personal money or is that a Christmas gift or is that business money? All I'm going to turn around and say is, regardless of what it was, the NDA is the contract, the agreement, the receipt to this transaction, right? And that letterhead is Bad Boy Enterprises, okay? And then you have a clause in it that says, if you breach this agreement, you owe the company $1 million, not Sean Diddy Combs, i.e. like $100,000 or $1 million, my personal account. You owe the company. You know what I'm saying? I've done that as well. RBE is an LLC, limited liability company. You know what I'm saying? You do these contracts and these transactions so that it's done as the business, not as ARP, not as app. You know what I'm saying? So my contract is that, if I don't pay you, you have a problem. Of course, people publicly and whatever personally gonna have a problem with me, right? I'm the owner, I'm the face, whatever. But technically, from a business standpoint, and that also can to the defendants or the accusers benefit. You can tie in other people. What if there's a co-owner? What if there's other partners in RBE? What if there's other workers in RBE? You see what I'm saying? So you can attack all these different elements within the business. So there's pros and cons on both sides. But whether or not that 100 grand was a Christmas gift to him or whether it came out of some endorsement deal under Bad Boy Enterprises, either way, the receipt, the transaction, the NDA, all of that, the clauses in it are tied to the business. So the prosecution got a good play there regardless, to me, the way it looks. I didn't know he had this little mafioso moment, though, with the money count and all that. This is funny.
Jackson, former federal prosecutor Barrett Berger, and former Manhattan prosecutor Jeremy Saland. This was quite a day as I move my way onto this chair. This was quite a day. I want to go right to this idea, Jeremy, of the hotel security guard. First of all, testifying under immunity, that he admitted that Combs gave him money to make sure this video went away. Now, we know some people might call this a bribe, colloquially. Is it enough for the prosecution to say, no, this was most assuredly a type of bribe that would be a predicate crime, as they keep saying, for RICO?
Of course they're going to argue that was a predicate crime in addition to the obstruction. But so what? Meaning, if someone came after me because I did something truly bad or even alleging I did something really bad, I have a legal career. I might say, I will pay you money because you're taking advantage and you're actually extorting me. You might do the same. And if you have the other party saying, I'm in agreement, I have a movie, I don't want this coming out. When does me doing an NDA, Stormy Daniels was an NDA, and that in and of itself was not the illegality. Why can't someone who has so much to lose, who's a hands-on freak, not just into freak offs, be fully on this entire episode to shut it down? Because if that domestic violence tape ever came out, he's screwed.
I'm so glad you mentioned Stormy Daniels, because I've been thinking about this today in terms of a jury that might be all the more fluent than they probably ever would have been in New York about catch and kill, right? This phenomenon where you've got bad press coming out, and you're paying a tabloid or otherwise to say, how about you just take that and it never sees the light of day? And we didn't see a RICO charge in that case. That was state court, obviously, so very different. But when you hear about that and think about how a jury might view, well, hold on, celebrities all the time, they've got DUIs, they've got videos, they've got dirt and skeletons. Isn't damage control part of what the rich folk do?
I mean, I think there has to be a difference between damage control and seeing a potential criminal case coming down the pipe and saying, I don't want that criminal case to ever see the light of day. And that's how I see these are being two separate situations. In the scenario you painted, absolutely. If you do something that's embarrassing or could cause you reputational harm, you want to shut it down, you want to pay somebody money, that could be a contractual agreement between two people, God bless. However, if you've committed a crime and there is evidence of that crime, and you tell somebody, I want to obtain and get rid of essentially the only copy, all evidence of my crime, that to me starts looking a lot more like obstruction than just a contract.
Yeah, so that's what I mentioned earlier. You know, the whole process of buying that footage, is it obstruction of justice? Is it tampering with evidence? Was a crime committed? Yes, there was a crime committed, right? Even down to small shit like property damage, like throwing the vase. Like, it's still a crime. Like, it's petty, it's stupid, but it's still a crime. So take this $100,000, let's sweep it the hallway. Let's forget that me and Cassie got into it and we did all of this in your hotel on your business premises. I'm gonna come down from the pedestal. I'm gonna deliver the money myself. I'm gonna give you some advice on how to spend it so you don't trip any wires. And then even Cassie's gonna do a FaceTime with you and saying, hey, I need this to go away as well because I got a movie coming out. Yeah. Let me take a quick look at some other supporting highlights with that stuff, just to see if there's anything to add further on top of that. All right. Why Diddy prosecutors think the Cassie Hotel video is a key to his conviction? Damn. It's really, if he's convicted, he will sit there and it would just be like, yo, it was all Cassie, B. I mean, I hope you got your money's worth if you ever convicted, as far as you and Cassie. You know, all the freak offs, all the whatever the relationship was, hope it was everything that you wanted it to be, because it's everything now. You know, a widely seen hotel surveillance video plays an important role in Sean Combs' trial. Prosecutors say the video is crucial to their case, proving both sex trafficking and racketeering. The sex trafficking one, I don't know, man. And racketeering, I mean, we'll see. The defense says it shows a fleeting moment of domestic violence and is irrelevant to those charges. Yeah, so this is the contradictions amongst prosecution and defense right here, right? As far as the interpretation of that video. From the defense, yep, I beat on her. Y'all got me red-handed. I even did a video apologizing for it. If I'm prosecution, oh no, that was a sex trafficking scenario and racketeering. That wasn't just him and his girlfriend on some toxic shit. All right. So that's key. Combs personally counted out $100,000 payment to make the video disappear. We now know that he was smiling, excited, just looked happy. The ex-guard Eddie Garcia said on the witness stand, describing the moment he handed Combs a USB thumb drive containing what was then believed to be the only copy of the incriminating hallway footage. So, Diddy, you got scammed, buddy. You signed this NDA and you came down off out of the clouds. You did this transaction with this man. You handed him a bag of $100,000, but he scammed you. He handed you a thumb drive and he said, you think that's the only one, stupid? Like, why would it be? I took one home to my wife. I showed my homie. My boss got one. You think I'm getting in trouble with my job and just have them come in the next day and say, hey, where's yesterday's footage? Nah, I just sold you a copy. How else did CNN get it? You think Diddy gave it to CNN and he's holding the thumb drive? Like, the fuck? So, in return, he said Combs showed him a brown bag, money, counter machine, and began counting 100 in cash. Yeah. There were stacks of money just being pulled into it, stacks of $100,000, $10,000 at a time. So, what happened to it being 50? Did he just get there and double it for him? When a prosecutor asked who was putting the money through the machine, the ex-guard answered Mr. Combs. It just painted a picture. That's not really supposed to matter, right? But how the Cassie Intercontinental video supports Combs' sex trafficking charge. Let me see what you're going to say about it. It is horrible. It's dehumanizing. It's violent. Defense lawyer Tenny Gallegos told jurors, owning up to the brutality of the video in May 12 opening statement. It is called domestic violence. She told jurors. It is called assault, she said, naming 2 crimes Combs is not charged with. Yeah, I mean, opening statement stuff, we'll leave that there for now. It's the closeout and the second half of this trial. I'm really going to see how they pull the rest of this together. It supports racketeering, supposedly, to the prosecution's case. I want to see them continue to build that. We'll see. All right. We are not finished with Diddy coverage yet. So we've seen the headlines going around of did Trump actually respond, right? Diddy was asked of him, like, hey, what do you think about giving Diddy a pardon? And I think his response was, I don't know the case, but I'll look into it. And if there's a mistreatment going on, we'll see what's going on. Very political answer, right? Very political answer. I don't know why a lot of people even thought like that was going to be a possibility. I just didn't see that happening regardless. Maybe because y'all heard the Larry Hoover news of him being pardoned after sitting. He's like, what, 70 something years old now? How long has Larry Hoover been there or been sitting down in federal custody? Right. So that shocked y'all maybe. I am of the opinion that a big part of the Larry Hoover move is a political optic play by Donald Trump. Okay. Somebody wanted to do something for Larry Hoover. They should have did it for him 20, 30, 40 years ago. Okay. Diddy, he's still even on trial, right? I don't see the president stepping into and getting himself muddied up with something like that. Like, why would he do that? Because they hung out before, because they took pictures before. But in any event, people pulled up the old footage, and of course, 50 Cent will do his best to spread it of Diddy talking against Trump.
If Trump gets elected, I really do believe in my heart there'll be a race war. That's why this message is not just to black people. You know what I'm saying? This message is to everybody. This man is really trying to turn us against each other and put us in a situation. America messed up. If Trump gets elected, white men like Trump need to be banished. White men like Trump need to be banished. White men like Trump.
Let me not play it a third time in case YouTube just identifies Trump and comes after my video. 50, man. For street code wise, is 50 supposed to be playing stuff like this as it relates to somebody fighting for their freedom? From a street code standpoint, if somebody is trying to get a pardon or putting in an appeal, and I post something to my Instagram showing the world why I don't think he should get a pardon or I don't think he should get an appeal, is that violation of 50 is a mother. He gets away with everything too. What, shout out to 50. And I know y'all seen this by now. I watched the whole thing of Cameron. He interviewed the guy, the Punisher, right? The sex worker who's now accessible. He did a CNN interview after his testimony. Here he is with Cam. I feel like I could DM him, see what the bag is and be. Do y'all want to see the Punisher interview on the Sorry Shoe podcast? I feel like we could get him because I think he's doing a media tour, y'all. I don't want to interview. I'm just joking, but I really feel like we could get him if we wanted to have him come up here and talk with us. But anyway, here's some of the funny ass highlights of this nigga Cam being Cam.
Was baby oil mandatory?
Mandatory,
yeah. He got a baby oil. That's mandatory. What was being done with the Astroglide though? Paul.
Damn
well.
He's
using it as lubricant to beat off. You know what I'm saying? That was, he's pleasuring himself during the action. So I'm obviously he's using that for lube.
Do you consider Puff a cuckold?
Look at his face.
Yeah, I mean the whole time that's what I thought it was.
Right. Was baby oil mandatory?
There's times during the interview where Cam would throw out a question and then turn to the side as if he don't want to look at homie while he's answering. So Cam is kind of trolling him a little bit during the interview. He's being somewhat respectful though. Like Cam could have probably did this guy dirty, you know what I'm saying? Because Cam ain't trying to maintain a relationship with this guy. He's not thinking like, hey, let me continue to work on my network of people. You know, I handle this guy the right way when he comes on my platform. Maybe we do an interview again a year from now. I don't think anybody's gonna ever need to talk to Punisher again on certain platforms or CNN or Cameron's platform. You know, the only reason people want to talk to a sex worker, especially somebody like Cam, who has the whole narrative in his platform of being homophobic, the whole pause thing, right? So, and I'm not saying that this guy is homosexual. I'm just saying he's got to even pause his questions. He's like, well, what would you do with the Astroglide? Pause. You know what I'm saying? Cam doesn't want to interview this guy again. He's doing it because of the trial. That's it. So I think Cam actually was reserved. But it's a funny watch if y'all want to go check it out. He asked him how the box was for Cassie. You know, and dude didn't give like a bad or a good answer. He was more so like, you know, he's just whatever. You know, I guess we fellas could ask questions like that every once in a blue, right? Who's some ones? Well, let me give y'all a quick intermission. All right, you go back in the day. One of my crushes was Trina. Not Trina now. Like Trina just seems too. You know, you gotta pass around the industry a little bit too much. But the young me, I loved me some Trina. You know, so if I could have a conversation, what I guess I don't know who was with Lil Wayne, maybe Babe, I don't know. Then they both was with her father and son, right? Allegedly. I'm like, yo, what's that Trina shit? You know what I'm saying? Like I would ask, who else? Who else did I like back in the day? Who else did I like? Who was I on? Like I was really on Trina, man. I really was. I always like Beyonce. Who else? Holly had a nice run. Oh yeah. Jennifer Lopez had a moment where I would have asked somebody like, "Yo, was yo, did y'all see any recent pictures of Salma Hayek? She looks the same way she looked 20 years ago. God bless that woman." What was it Lauren or whatever from Family Matters? Some of us loved her, right? We got some of our girls from our early sitcoms we was in love with, y'all, right? I could go down the line. I ain't gonna bore y'all. There's a lot of girls I would have asked, yo, what's that like? So I understand Cam asking about Cassie. Cassie is a beautiful woman. Okay, she's a beautiful woman. All right, let's move on. Diddy is finished here for today. Kanye and Pusha T. I personalized this a little bit, and not just because how much I dislike Kanye West as a man. Chat, y'all know that already about me. I personalized this a little bit because I do have a lot of respect for Pusha T. I do feel like he's carried himself of integrity for the most part through the industry. And I think he's taken a position that I have taken in the past, I will continue to take, and that I can see something like I would do, right? I'll tell you why in a second. Pusha T, Kanye is not a real man in my eyes, detrimental to everything. Wow, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? I haven't said something like that. Like Kanye's influence and how he can disrupt people and children and even ignorant adults. I hate because he's got a big voice. Pusha T is entering this new clips era with our memories of Kanye West. They'll never reunite because Pusha doesn't respect Ye's manhood. Kanye publicly mourned the loss of his friendship with Pusha just a few days ago, but in his new convo with GQ, Pusha let it be known the beef is up and it's stuck forever. I don't know about that. I don't know if they're beefing. They may have hyped that up here on TMZ. I don't care about Ye's tweet talking about he misses Pusha. He actually dissed Pusha many, many times during some of his rants over like the last year. So Pusha says their union unraveled during the 2021 Donda album sessions. And he went on to dish Ye's recent theatrics in the KKK mask while denying there was any truth found in the various rants that targeted him. Okay. But says the college dropout can't hide his true nature from him. He's a genius, but that's why me and him don't get along, because he sees through my fakeness with him. Pusha explained. Kanye knows I don't think he's a man. He knows it. And that's why we can't build with each other no more. That's why me and him don't click, because he knows what I really think of him. He showed me the weakest side of him, and he knows how I think weak people, or what I think of weak people. Now, I may never publicly say it. I probably won't. I have a situation from battle rap that exactly is the same of that, in my opinion, from my perspective, exactly the same. It's some matter of fact, before I get to me, let me paint this backstory from Kanye and Pusha. One thing that I see there. You want to know a big reason, in my opinion, why Pusha should look at Kanye like, you's a fuck nigga and I'm good on you. The whole dynamic of Pusha, Kanye, and Drake. Drake and Kanye have always had their thing. People believe that he even tried to sabotage him out the gate with the Best I Ever Had video when he directed it. Kanye, out of his own mouth, admitted he's jealous of Drake. He also admitted that he feared Drake's presence coming into the industry. It's already established. It's already documented, right? But here you have Kanye and Pusha T, label mates, right? And then Kanye even promoted what was Pusha's title under Good Music, like director or president or whatever, right? You guys are road dogs. And not only are y'all road dogs, but anything that goes against Drake or a Kanye or a Jay-Z or a Future or these heavyweights, right, in the industry, you close so many doors when you go after these people, when you disrespect these people, when you get into it with these people. You 50 Cent, you close a lot of doors because of where these people sit. All right. 50 Cent is the guy that will tell you on camera, out of his own mouth, I'll pick up the phone, I'll make the call and say, if you put that close, what was it, Gino Green? Oh, no, Slow Bucks, matter of fact. Hey, distributor, if you put Slow Bucks in your store, me and you have a problem. And then you just got to choose. Well, who do I want to maintain a relationship with? Slow Bucks or 50? This is the industry. This is how it goes. Not getting along with certain people will shut down some of your opportunities to the point where you can even get yourself blackballed. That it's in every arena. I say that to say Pusha T has never been a chart-topping super heavyweight in the industry or in the game. He matters. He's a player. He's a big deal. I give him that. But he ain't of the caliber of like the type of names that I said. For Pusha to get into it with Drake, it closes a lot of those doors because Drake is Drake, one of the kings. And think about this angle. A big piece of your motivation, Pusha T, for getting into it with Drake is because your friend Kanye, your loyalty to Kanye. I know we watched the interview with Pusha T on the Joe Budden podcast saying, no. I didn't get the information for the story of Adidon from Kanye. I got it from 40, from Pillow Talk and shit. I honestly don't believe that. I think that Pusha got up there and told a bold-faced fucking lie. And Drake believes it too. He did the interview, I think, on LeBron, the barbershop joint, right? And I think he broke down like, nah, I'm hanging out with him. It was weird. Kanye was doing this. I told him in the studio. I had a son come, boom, boom. Next thing I know, Pusha's using it in a diss song, right? In so many words. Drake always had to look at Pusha and say, I know what this is about. Drake used to, he's on record as well, how much he used to idolize Pusha T. He bought an autographed microphone, I believe, off of eBay for Pusha T. He used to idolize Pusha. Okay? It's all documented shit. Pusha, no doubt, took some issues with Drake for his own personal reasons, but also because of Kanye. And behind the scenes, whatever's going back and forth between Kanye and Pusha, you best believe that they're plotting on Drake. They're saying things, they're exchanging information. And to a degree, Pusha stepped out in front of Kanye and fucked Drake up. He took a major L to Pusha, right? Took a major L to Pusha, hurt his image, hurt his rollout with Adidas and all of this. And then it double back and gets used again with Kendrick, right? This is all Pusha stepping out in front of Kanye and saying, all right, fuck this nigga, bet. We on his heels. Later on, what does Kanye do? Not even just his fucking up and down tweets. 1 second he hates Drake, but the another second he say, I need you at my funeral. I like Drake, whatever. Or now he wants to stand up for Drake in the midst of the beef with Kendrick, right? So, I mean, you already got to watch that and be like, what type of nigga is you if you're Pusha, right? But you went and also did that show with him. I understand if the show is supposed to be in honor of Larry Hoover, but certain things you just can't do no matter what the cause is. I stand on that. Does anybody know what I'm talking about from battle rap? Certain things you can't stand on because of the people involved. You can't, or else I'm violating what I stand for and what I'm supposed to stand for. Don't use this other situation that's very important, i.e. the Larry Hoover promotion. Don't tie that into the fact that you want to put me next to somebody that wants me dead, i.e. like, Kanye and Drake doing that show together. And that's why Kanye looked like he was fucking being held hostage, standing next to Jay Prince when he was doing his olive branch to Drake. Yeah, man, it's a bigger cause. Kanye needs to read when he freestyles his thoughts, but he's sitting there next to Jay Prince under fucking hostage. Yeah, Drake, we need to come together, do the show for that, right? And Pusha, this is your man. I'm watching you. I'm like, yo, you weak. You're weak. I front lines for you and for us. You weak. The information that I put out, you're the one that gave it to me. Because for lack of better words, we was over here feeling like this. Some could say that that is conspiring. But we were standing what we were standing, right? Turns out I'm the only one that's really standing up for what we claim to be real man shit and rights and wrongs. It's just me. Because when you get the opportunity to do something that's outside of what it really was, you showed how pussy you really are, how opportunistic you are, or how much you don't have a backbone, or how much it's easy to turn you. You showed it. You showed it. Right? So, and that's the thing too. There's so much behind the scenes that people just won't know. Imagine all the private conversations between Pusha and Kanye. Imagine when Kanye and Pusha's hanging out together in the studio and they talking about Drake and saying, Drake did this. He disrespected Kim, my wife, and all it is, boom, boom. And Pusha's like, he did what? This is unexcusable, unreturnable stuff that you're telling me he did to you. You know what? Now I agree with you. Fuck him. And if the opportunity comes, I'm a front line with you or for you. Fast forward, you go do a concert with the nigga? Nah. You's a bitch, whether people know it or not. So Kanye and Pusha. Pusha's supposed to stand like this towards Kanye. And as much as I want to see Pusha, who is one of my favorites, have the network and do the great collabs and all that, I would hope to see him stand there for the rest of his life. Don't ever go shake that man's hand again. Same goes for Drake. If the exchanges are to the level where you feel like my family was disrespected, you tried to kill me, or you tried to out my career, people confuse sometimes beef versus staying where you at. They confuse the two. I'm not saying Drake and Pusha beef forever. I'm not saying Pusha create a beef with Kanye. That's actually, I don't think all three of them should have any beef. I would love to see that just Nah, you don't need to have that. Like, there was a battle, leave it there. You don't want to see any entourage. If somebody cross paths with Pusha, like, hey, remember that shit with Drake? Oh, I don't want to see none of that. Or leave it there. But as far as rocking with somebody, stand where you're supposed to stand. Stand on what that person really did. Don't double back. Don't double back. Show me that you have some fucking guts to say that person violated in a way that you can't return from. In a way you can't return from. And when they say never means, you should never say never, say never. No, there are things that are supposed to be never. I will never shake that person's hand. I will never try to make money with this person. I will never do a collab feature with that person. It's okay to actually stand on something forever. It's okay. I know some of y'all can't, but that's the difference between some of us. Sucker. It's a sucker. All right, let me move on before I say too much. Move on before I say too much. Y'all think I'm just talking about Kanye and Pusha, huh? Let me move on. This chick. Yo, look at this picture. Zion's young. He probably got with this when he was like 20, 21 or some shit like that. There's men in the world that like this though, so shout out to you, shorty. Oh, this picture does you no justice. This is what your surgeon did to you. This is what your surgeon did to you. I don't care how long the wig is. It can't cover this up. This is what your surgeon did to you. Wow. But listen to it, y'all.
Career is officially potentially over. That means no money for me equals no money for you. Well, now that your NBA career is officially potentially over, that means no money for me equals no money for you. Well, now that your NBA career is officially potentially over, that means...
I mean, that is a contradiction. Officially, potentially, but I can't even believe she'll post something like this. Meanwhile, she's looking to try to push some civil suit and get some money out of this NBA star. And you post this. You saw when I did my first stream on this topic, I said, any lawyer that picks this up to me is also a piece of shit. Any lawyer that wants to see this case and say, hey, we got something here. Let's with those text messages, those alleged text messages that are already out between her and him, and the interviews that she has done, the background of her, who she is showing us that she is, videos like this, I already have her in a category, right? I don't even want to get pissed off thinking about who she is as a person. But to the point where even the lawyer that would take this case on would be scum. And what does she do? She makes a call out that I'm looking to retain the services of Tony Buzbee because you're an alleged Me Too person, right? That's what Brian Steele called some of these people. Me Too money grab people, right? You see all this Cassie and this Diddy and the lawsuit era that we're in right now, allegedly, because you seem like the type that would even want to try to sue little old me. You want one of these black t-shirts? I got you. You know what I'm saying? You get them from Target. A pack of 5 probably costs less than $30. You know, I got you. This is what I could give y'all. You see these black t-shirts that I rock every day? This is what I got. Target tees. That's what I got for you. Okay. But you seem like that type, and you put it out there because you see all this energy with Tony Buzbee's name and all of that, and you want to use that name. Did you ever hear that name before? Did you do any homework on his actual legal background? Did you check his track record? Did you see what type of cases he's very strong in? What type of cases he may have lost in the last 5 years? The type of homework that you're supposed to do before retaining such a big service of trying to obtain millions of dollars out of this young NBA star. You did none of that, allegedly. You just saw Tony's name out in the headlines, and you just, hey, I get Tony. This is this other such a disgusting person, allegedly. And even Tony Buzbee, who, you want to know what? I'm gonna double back and say he's a decent person. I take issue with Tony Buzbee over the Jay-Z shit, but you want to know what Tony Buzbee made up for it? Number one, you backed out of it. And backing away from something that is incorrect doesn't mean you pussy, doesn't mean that you lost, doesn't have to make you scary sometimes. It could just also be you doing the right thing. Yeah, I brought this case. I don't really have a case here. The evidence and the discovery that was already provided from Jay-Z, etc., and his legal team, I gotta leave this alone. Instead of being so egotistical with, no, we riding this to the wheels full, or we taking this all the way to trial. Fuck that, me versus you, we personalizing it. So I give him a point back there. All right, dismissed with prejudice. Good job. After that, he had another one that we brought up here on the stream. And as I was going through it, I was just like, Tony Buzbee, you know, his representation here and what he's saying is sturdy. You know, most of us come to know him through the Jay-Z situation, which just makes him look crazy. But I do not doubt that Tony Buzbee's background as a lawyer, they say he's high-powered out of Texas, right? I don't doubt that his background is one of a lot of stature. I don't doubt that. Okay? I don't. And even Tony Buzbee responds to this fucking girl. Tony Buzbee chose not to represent Moriah Mills in her potential case against NBA star Zion Williamson. We can't help them all. Thank God, Tony. Moriah Mills had contacted Tony Buzbee recently about potential litigation against the NBA superstar. But in a statement, Buzbee said he will not be adding her to his client list. A member of our staff spoke to her, he said. After review, we declined to take her case. I don't want to read the rest. That's all you have to do. A little bit of due diligence. A little bit of due diligence. Because you know what? Maybe Zion is such a loved guy that he can get away with shit. And everybody would just take his side. Maybe that's the case. So let me just a little homework. I'm not a lawyer. I don't get paid to be a fucking lawyer, people. But did y'all see my Zion Moriah stream like 2-3 days ago? I did a stream just for this topic. It was like 30 minutes or something like that. I'm not a lawyer. And I brought up a bunch of things. And I said, well, let's look at these text messages. Let's look at their history. Let's see how she reacted back when she found out that he was having a child with another girl. Let's see when she actually brought this R allegation forward. Let's see what she does for a living. Let's see who she is. And you put all this together, just like, you see what this is? It took me 30 minutes doing it freestyle with y'all on the stream. Now, what a lawyer's supposed to look into is the strength of the case. The strength of the case. And immediately, one thing you're supposed to do is say, there's even 2 or 3 text messages alone, if those text messages are real, alone that totally trash the whole case. There's screenshots that trash the entire shit. The entire shit. So I can't take this on, shorty. I decline. And if you are a high-profile name, because Tony Buzbee's name, it went up. I don't know about how much his clients are paying him, but his name went up. Just like Brian Steele's name went up after the YSL trial. So you got to be selective because you're getting paid off of references and now, to a degree, even your public image and persona. We still say Johnny Cocker's name to this day. Your reputation, it precedes you at this point, good or bad. You can't take everything. No, Brian Steele, I think, was smart for taking the Diddy case once again because it's as high profile as you get. And I think it's a win or lose, you still good type of scenario. First of all, he's not the only lawyer. Number 2, he's not the primary and the lead lawyer for Diddy's defense team. He's not. And I just don't think that a lot of people are looking at this like, damn, man, if Diddy gets convicted, y'all all fumbled the ball. Like, I don't think that y'all look at it like that. You know what I'm saying? good choice coming off of the YSL trial to take this. A lot of people thought that Brian Steele was going to go sit down for a year and chill out, put his feet up based on that Young Thug move. You know, it makes sense. Tony Buzbee, gotta be smart. This case right here, there's a million lawyers that'll take this up. Don't let it be you. Allegedly. But I'm glad that she keeps posting stuff like that. I hope that she continues to keep posting stuff like that. And I'm glad that she turns certain directions and people are able to tell her, no, thank you, because that hopefully translates. She doesn't seem the smartest, but I hope that then translates to you like, maybe I don't really have something here. Or maybe I don't have the strongest case in the world. Or if I'm going to have a good lawyer, they're going to cost. And should I make this type of investment based on the feedback that I'm getting? Am I really going to get this pot of gold of $50 million out of this NBA star, you know, based on people turning me down? Is that really going to, I don't know. Maybe I just need to take my ass back to back page in the porn world and Instagram and all this type of stuff. Just bank on all this cement that's in my ass. You know, let me go back to that. I made some decent money doing that stuff. Maybe I just need to, maybe NBA stars ain't going to work. You know, I tried, and that's why I'm so mad, because I lost it. I had one. I had a little young, dumb one. I lost it. This motherfucker went and got somebody else pregnant. Damn it. I was supposed to be the one that got pregnant. Damn it. Fuck it. I still made some good money over here, though. Let me just go back to, I hope that's the case. Allegedly, leave me in the black t-shirts alone. I'm just a man with an opinion. Fuck out of here. It's nasty. It's nasty, people. Ladies, I know it feels like y'all might be getting beat up. Not y'all specifically. On today's particular stream. Unfortunately, y'all about to take another hit. What the fuck? Sukiiana, stepdaddy season has officially begun. Sukiiana says stepdaddy season is officially here. Socialites, is this your mood? Let me see the post on the story on Instagram. Stepdaddy season has officially begun. Heart. If your role model is the Sukiianas of the world, you know, you're already losing at life. But there are a lot of these young, impressionable girls out here that see this shit. And, you know, treating a father to a child as if it's a pair of sneakers that you can buy out of the store and return and wear and switch up. And the aspirations for having a husband or a family at home, they're just so gone in this era, man. It's look at some of these comments. This is a woman that posts, why y'all never have families with y'all kids' father? I'm honestly curious. Don't nobody want her or her kids. Look at this guy post a gif of somebody scratching, getting burned, hypothetically, allegedly. Nah, I ain't signing up to be stepdad of the year when I ain't even had a chance to build something for myself yet. I'm not carrying bags I didn't pack. Does she even have her kids? Somebody posts. Realizing she has a child and it's a daughter is so alarming. People don't even know that you have a kid, shorty. This is the way they find out from you posting stepdaddy season. I don't even need to continue. Y'all know what did y'all see that video that hit World Star of her? She was in the hotel room with the alleged John. You know, did y'all see that video? She walking around naked and all that, and they got into an argument or whatever. Y'all see that? It's the same girl that doesn't know the difference between a musician and a magician. That is a timeless. We was just talking about that in the checks and balances chat. That is a timeless video. The woman literally didn't know what a fucking musician was, and she does music. There's no surgeon. There's no makeup artist. There's no hairstylist. There's no fashion designer or jewelry creator that can change what you are. presenting to the world. Let me complete that sentence. That video alone is, who wants to come into your life at that level? That video alone allegedly puts her in the light of a prostitute. Allegedly. That video alone. Stepdad season. I suggest if you're going to put the type of presentation and perception and image that you put out there, it'd be nice to leave the kids out of this. It would be. It really would be. I do these segments like that because for all the billions of trash that's out there that our children consume and that even some of us grown-ass adults consume and are influenced by, there's got to be a pocket of people that say, that ain't the way, fellas. That ain't the way, ladies. That ain't the way, youngins. There's got to be a pocket of people that say it. And I have no problem being within the pocket of people that say, aspire to have a husband and the father of your children there. Posting that having a man father your child is seasonal is not the way. Is not the way. Let me put this out here as well. Shout out to checks and balances on this one. I didn't see this one until y'all tossed it in there. We want to send blessings and prayers to Trey from The Wire. His son's condition has been upgraded after surviving a Georgia tornado. Great to hear. Great to hear that his son is doing better. Okay. That's great to hear. But he posted a video after a tornado tore up the house that him and his family built. I ain't gonna play it because it's a little tear jerky. It would make my whole vibe up here feel it's sad. It's sad. But I'm glad that he and his family are surviving this. And we want to send praise and good energy this man's way. And not just because he's from my favorite show, people. Okay. Not just because he's from The Wire. He's a human. I don't know about no bad shit on his name. He wouldn't have to be a celebrity. He wouldn't have to be a TV show star. He wouldn't have to be a musician. If you're just a human out here and you live in life the right way or the best way possible, none of us are perfect, but you live in life the best way possible. And then I see your child get hospitalized or your home that you built get taken from you. I sympathize no matter who you are. So when I happened to see this one, I said, nah, let's send the man some energy and a shout out. Sassy says, prayers up. Jay says, life is precious. Yeah, we're going to carry that over here. Thank you, Sassy. We're going to carry that over here. That's us. I get my bag when deserving, but let's leave room for some of this stuff too, people. All right. I'm going to close it out like that. Where we at? 7 o'clock. We crossed the hour, 15 minutes. Sometimes a Diddy update alone could be over an hour. But I don't know. I don't know if the rest of his trial is going. Like I said, it's possible that our coverage gets smaller and smaller for every specific day for Diddy because the fireworks may be over. The biggest fireworks may be over. But we want to continue to follow it and document it because it still all leads up to his fate. Right? We want to see what happens. So I do want us to stay in the loop daily. Every day that court is in session, but don't be surprised if next week our Diddy trial update is like a segment in a stream, like a quick 10, 15 minute. Don't be surprised. Do you know what it was like in that scene in season 3 for the wire heads of the world? Not just me, the wire. It was one of. It just happened to start season 2 of the Last of Us with Joel. They did it there. Wait. They built it up. We've seen it coming. You don't survive Brother Muzone and Omar teaming up. You don't survive that. You know, they built it up. And they was also creating the division between Stringer and Avon at the same time. They was setting each other up. They did the Q and the Bishop hug at the lockup, but they did it on the balcony, right? So what time are you gonna be there? Avon was setting them, they were setting each other up, right? So we seen a big, but it just the way it happened, and then when the actual still caught us off guard. Where my string at? I got my stringer over here with me still. All right, I got my stringer. All right, my stringer's still over here. He's chilling. All right, not. Don't get it twisted. My favorite character in The Wire is not Stringer. It's Marlo. You want it to be one way. Nah, you want it to be one way. But it's the other way.
Don't confuse silence with work ethic. I'm a boss, making decisions my first fetish. The verse cherished is perfect, that's a reverse blemish. I dropped it, connected the block, learn Tetris.
This is the Sorry It's True podcast. Welcome to the house of and shout out to the members.